the inventions, its history, and contribution in our scientific development. First is gravity. Isaac Newton published a comprehensive theory of gravity in 1687. Though others had thought about it before him, Newton was the first to create a theory that applied to all objects, large and small, using mathematics that was ahead of its time. The legend is that Newton discovered gravity when he saw a falling apple while thinking about the forces of nature. Whatever really happened, Newton realized that some force must be acting on falling objects like apples, because otherwise they would not start moving from rest. Newton also realized that the moon would fly off away from Earth in a straight line tangent to its orbit if some force was not causing it to fall toward the Earth. The moon is only a projectile circling around the Earth under the attraction of gravity. Newton called this force gravity and determined that gravitational forces exist between all objects. Using the idea of gravity, Newton was able to explain the astronomical observations of Kepler. The work of Galileo, Bray, Kepler, and Newton proved once and for all that the Earth wasn't the center of the solar system. The Earth, along with all other planets, orbits around the Sun. Now proceeding to its contribution, the works of Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein dominate the development of gravitational theory. The launch of space vehicles and developments of research from them led to great improvements in measurements of gravity around the Earth, other planets, and the Moon, and in experiments of the nature of gravitation. Processed food. Food processing dates back to the prehistoric ages when crude processing incorporated fermenting, sun-drying, preserving with salt, and various types of cooking such as roasting, smoking, steaming, and oven baking. Such basic food processing involved chemical enzymatic changes to the basic structure of food in its natural form, as well served to build a barrier against surface microbial activity that caused rapid decay. Salt preservation was especially common for foods that constituted warrior and sailors' diets until the introduction of canning methods. Evidence for the existence of these methods can be found in the writings of the ancient Greek, Chaldean, Egyptian, and Roman civilizations, as well as archaeological evidence from Europe, North and South America, and Asia. These tried and tested processing techniques remained essentially the same until the advent of the Industrial Revolution. Modern food processing technology, developed in the 19th and 20th centuries, was developed in a large part to serve military needs. In 1809, Nicolas Appert invented a hermetic bottling technique that would preserve food for French troops, which ultimately contributed to the development of tea and subsequently canning by Peter Durand in 1810. Although initially expensive and somewhat hazardous due to the lead used in cans, canned goods would later become a staple around the world. Its contribution was that both fresh and processed foods make up vital parts of the food supply. Processed food contributes to food security and nutrition security, ensuring that sufficient food is available and the food quality meets human nutrient needs.
Radio. Radio waves were first identified and studied by German physicist Heinrich Hertz in 1886. The first practical radio transmitters and receivers were developed around 1895 until 1896 by the Italian inventor Guglielmo Marconi, and the radio began to be used commercially around 1900. To prevent interference between users, the emission of radio waves is strictly regulated by law, coordinated by an international body called the International Communications Union, or the ITU, which allocates frequency bands in the radio spectrum for different uses. Radio has transformed society 3 times, not to mention giving birth to the entire field of electronics. Radio provided a cheap and convenient way of conveying information and ideas. The radio was certainly one of the most important inventions of 1920s because it's not only brought the nation together, but it brought the whole new way for people to communicate and interact. Large Hadron Collider. The Large Hadron Collider, or LHC, story began in 1976 when the European particle physics community began to discuss building a Large Electron Positron Collider, or LEP, at CERN. Large Electron Positron was, of course, eventually built and installed in a 27-kilometer tunnel, which today houses the LHC. At that time, CERN had 2 directors. That will be Leon Van Hove, the scientific director, and John Adams, the technical director. John thought LEP was the wrong choice for CERN's major project, but in 1977 conceded, and then he had lost the argument, wrote a note proposing that LEP tunnel should be made large enough to accommodate a ring of superconducting magnets to enable the acceleration of protons to at least 3 TeV. This suggestion was widely known by the time of the LEP summer study in September 1978. The Large Hadron Collider, or LHC, is by far the most powerful particle accelerator built to date. It first started up on 10th of September 2008 and remains the latest addition to CERN's accelerator complex. The LHC allows scientists to reproduce the conditions that existed within a billionth of a second after the Big Bang by colliding beams of light, energy protons, or ions at colossal speeds close to the speed of light.
Internet. Nikola Tesla toyed with the idea of a world wireless system in the early 1900s, and visionary thinkers like Paul Otlet and Vannevar Bush conceived of mechanized searchable storage systems of books and media in the 1930s and 1940s. Still, the first practical schematics for the Internet would not arrive in the 1960s, when the MIT's GCR Licklider popularized the idea of intergalactic network of computers. Shortly thereafter, computer scientists developed the concept of packet switching, a method of effectively transmitting electronic data that would later become one of the major building blocks of the Internet. Internet has played an active role in users' access to information and community involvement. Mass media is a major route of science communication. Internet, due to the spread of unique strengths and strong communication ability, is more prominent in mass media. The Internet has clearly impacted all levels of education by providing unbounded possibilities for learning. By connecting empowering students and educators, we can speed up economic growth and enhance the well-being of society throughout the world. Virtual reality. Today's virtual reality technologies build upon ideas that date back to 1800s, almost to every beginning of practical photography. In 1838, the first stereoscope was invented using twin mirrors to project a single image. The use of the term virtual reality, however, was used in 1980s when Jaron Lanier, founded of BPL Research, began to develop the gear, including goggles, gloves, needed to experience what we call virtual reality. Even before that, however, technologists were developing simulated environments. One milestone was Sensorama in 1956. Morton Hellick's background was in the Hollywood motion picture industry. He wanted to see how people could feel like they were in the movie. Virtual reality technology plays an important role in realizing telesensation, the ability to enter and walk through virtual world and handle virtual objects using hand gestures makes VR interactive. And this is one of the most important features. Communication can be human-to-human communication, human-to-environment communication, or human-to-computer communication. One of the biggest contributions of VR to modern science is in the field of medical research. Its benefits would be to use virtual reality to test certain abilities of human brain and use the technology to help in the treatment of mental and physical conditions. Aside from the advancement in medical research, VR also help make breakthroughs in neuroscience.
Bluetooth. The development of the short-link radio technology, later named Bluetooth, was initiated in 1989 by Niels Friedrich, 32, at Ericsson Mobile Land in Sweden. The purpose was to develop wireless headsets according to two inventions by Johan Ullman. The first customer Bluetooth device was launched in 1989. It was a hands-free mobile headset which earned the Best of Show Technology Award at Comdex, uniting devices from different manufacturers and with different purposes, like computers from Apple and mic from Microsoft. This is what Bluetooth technology is all about, all at low cost, with low power consumption and a secure connection every time. Bluetooth technology is standardized short-range wireless communication technology that uses a low power radio frequency with low cost. It is interoperable and it sucks up very little energy into special electronic devices to communicate with each other. Bluetooth technology has the ability of data gathering and apps which allows headset to share its internet connection with a connected device.
Nanotechnology. The history of nanotechnology traces the development of concepts and experimental work falling under the broad category of nanotechnology. Although nanotechnology is relatively recent development in scientific research, the development of its central concepts happened over a longer period of time. The emergence of nanotechnology in the 1980s was caused by the convergence of experimental advances such as the invention of the scanning tunneling microscope in 1981 and the discovery of the Fullerness in 1985. With the elucidation and popularization of a conceptual framework for the goals of nanotechnology in the beginning of the commercial applications of nanotechnology, although these were limited to bulk applications of nanomaterials rather than the transformative applications envisioned by the field. Nanotechnology is helping considerably improve, even revolutionize many technology and industry sectors: information technology, homeland security, medicine, transportation, energy, food safety, and environmental science, among many others. Nanotechnological products, processes, and applications are expected to contribute significantly to environment and climate protection by saving raw materials, energy, and water, as well as by reducing greenhouse gases and hazardous